At Bank of Dudley, we want to help with all your lending needs. Whether you're thinking of buying a new car, remodeling your home, or just want to go on vacation, let one of the many lenders at a Bank of Dudley branch near you help realize your dreams. Bank of Dudley, we're big enough to offer the great services you need, but small enough to make sure you can talk to someone you trust. Bank of Dudley with 5 convenient locations: East Dublin, downtown Dublin, and Veterans Boulevard, Dudley, and Jeffersonville. Bank of Dudley, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender.
Hi, thanks for joining us for Dublin Today. I'm Stacy Brooks over at the new offices for Families for Families. We're going to be meeting with Program Coordinator Lewis Miller. Now, as some of you know, we spoke with Lewis in the studio some time back about this program they were beginning that is working in conjunction with Lawrence County DFACS, and of course, they are helping to get foster families placed in Christian homes throughout Lawrence County. They're going in, talking to the churches, getting these children. Of course, there's a great need right now in Dublin, Lawrence County for foster care. Around 120 to 150 children right now in Dublin, Lawrence County are in foster care. There's only about 32 licensed homes. So I'm excited to see some new things they have going on. They also have a clothes closet. They're in need of diapers. So we're going to go in and see just what it is that Families for Families is doing. It is definitely going to be a great day in Dublin today. Thanks again for joining us today. I'm Stacy Brooks here with Lewis Miller. Of course, we have had Lewis on our show before. Welcome back. So glad to have you. Now, we're over at your new office location. Of course, when we met you before in the studio, the program was just really getting started. Of course, we're talking about Families for Families today and some of the needs that they actually have going on right now. So, Lewis, for those of our viewers who may not be as familiar with Families for Families, can you tell us a little bit about what it is?
Okay. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is seeking to recruit foster parents to meet the need here in the Region 9 area.
So now, Families for Families here is a little new, but it's not actually a new organization. Is that right?
That's correct. The home office is in Loganville, and they've been around for about 3 years now.
Okay, so what made you decide to, because I know that you're a pastor, so when we had you on our show last time, you had actually resigned that to do this full-time. Tell us a little bit about what led to that decision.
Well, I'm not only a pastor, I'm a licensed professional counselor, and just working with children and families that were being taken out of the homes, and seeing what happens to the kids, and the Lord has just really placed it on my heart that I needed to do more than just be a counselor to them, and He actually led me into this agency and into this ministry.
Well, most of our viewers, they know that fostering is very near and dear to our family. So I'm always glad to talk to other people who see such a need. Sadly, there is a very great need, in Dublin and Lawrence County for foster families. Now, when we met before, I believe there were about 32 homes licensed in Dublin, Lawrence County, if I remember correct, to actually take in children. But there were about 120 to 150 foster children. So when you do the math, it's easy to see there's more children than there are homes here in Dublin, Lawrence County to be able to equip that, to really be able to handle that many children. So how has Families for Families already been able to help with just that number?
Well, in the last 2 months that we've been open, we've placed 8 children so far. We have 3 homes that are open, and we have 3 more families that are in the stages of having their home studies done, and the background checks completed. And we actually have an upcoming training where we have 6 more families coming through. So we basically recruit going to churches. I speak at a different church every Sunday, which was part of the reason why I needed to resign as a pastor. If there's a church out there that would love for us to come and speak, I'd be glad to come and present what we do at Families for Families. But just kind of back up about one of your questions, I don't think people realize just how great the need is for foster care. Statewide, there's just about 14,000 kids that are in the foster care system, and in the local area, not just counting Lawrence County, but the surrounding counties, Dodge and Johnson counties, and there's about 300 to 400 kids that are in care.
That's a high number. And of course, we've had Miss Marie Townsend on our show several times for TLC CASA, because they really do play a vital role in the lives of these children too. So we hear it over and over how great a need there really is. But I have to kind of commend Lawrence County. We do always come together, it seems like, when we know there's a need. Do you feel like that more people are becoming aware of the need, and so you're having more people who want to actively get involved?
I think that one of the primary issues is that the church just didn't know how great a need there is. Oftentimes the pastors and the members of the church, they're just surprised. Wow, I had no idea there's that many kids right here in our own backyard. And then the tragic thing is that not only is the kid removed from a home and their family, but then we have to, if we place them outside of the county because there's no open homes, then they're leaving their school system and their friends as well. So it just compounds the issue. So DFACS and CASA has been great in terms of their support, because they know that we're going to open up more homes right here in Lawrence County.
Which is exactly what I've heard so many say that is needed. Of course, anytime you're talking about the foster system and fostering in general, people sometimes have this misconception, I think, of what fostering is. So when you actually kind of walk us through when there's a need, of course, there's a report made, there's an investigation, and once it's determined that child's going to be removed, what does Family for Families then do?
We'll get a phone call from DFACS. I got a call yesterday that there was 3 children that needed a home, and the caseworker wanted to know if we had any open homes. So at that point, I'll call the homes that we have open and make sure that's a good fit for those foster parents, because we want to place the right kind of kids in the home. So at that point, I'll go and I'll pick up the children, and then we'll transport them to that foster home.
And it is hard. Of course, we always hear about the black trash bag story that from DFACS, which is a tragedy in itself to me. Nothing that they can control. But when those children when they leave their actual home, usually they grab a black trash bag and they have to put what they can bring, in with it. Of course, sometimes there's abuse situations. So until you really experience what that's like or see it in a child's life, it's really hard. So I always try to always mention that, to make it, just kind of to help our viewers to understand how difficult it would be. In going through training, they actually did this exercise where, you list like 5 things you just think you can't live without, if it's your family, if it's food, whatever it is. And they wanted specifics. Is it a child? Is it a spouse? And you kind of go on this road trip and you gradually lose things, and the first thing you're like, oh, well, that's, I probably could do without. And then you get down to those, top 2 or 3, which are generally our children or our spouse. And then you imagine, okay, now they're off the bus, they're gone. And that's a great analogy of what it is like for these children. They're basically being taken from whatever they've known for whatever amount of time, away from people, and placed with people they don't know. So is part of that training, that is what allows you to see what child fits best in a home. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
I think too, with the things that they lose, that's why we want to recruit within the church. So we have churches that are helping, like right here on site. We have a care closet where we have not only diapers and shoes, but clothing too. That family gets that call at 8 o'clock at night. One of our caseworkers is able to go, and if they need size 2T or they need size 4 clothes, we're able to do that. So it is tough for the kids to come out into the home with next to nothing, but I think here in Lawrence County, the churches are really pulling together to, meet the need, for these kids.
And I can definitely see that, especially now that they know there is a need. So, and when we come back from a brief commercial break, we're going to talk about exactly what you guys need, ways our community can get involved, and ways that they can help Families for Family, who are, of course, helping our foster children here in Dublin and Lawrence County. We'll be right back.
I'm Locke Wilford at Dublin Auto Outlet. Nobody beats our prices and nobody beats our selection. Clean, late model vehicles. If we don't have it, we'll get it. Dublin Auto Outlet, downtown, across from the new Dairy Queen.
Welcome back. Thanks again for joining us for Dublin Today. I'm Stacy Brooks here again, welcoming back Lewis Miller, of course, who is heading up Families for Families here in Dublin, Lawrence County. We are over at their new offices. I do appreciate you being so generous and letting us come in the office, take a tour. We're actually going to show you guys some of their rooms they have set up where with things that people need, where, like you said, a caseworker can come in the middle of the night where that child may need something. So the churches are doing a great job bringing in those needs. But I do understand there's some specific things that you need. And, of course, we know that, all organizations can always use funds and funding, but tell us some of those things that even our viewers may be able to take back to your civic organization or your church, or maybe on an individual basis, some ways that they can help the children here in Dublin, Lawrence County.
Currently, of the eight children that we have in care, 5 are toddlers or babies. So of course we need lots of diapers. We have one family that has 3 babies.
Wow.
And so they're going through a lot of diapers, a lot of formula. So we need those things. But it extends beyond, just the physical. You can imagine bringing 3, children into the home all at once. We want to be able to have the parents to have some time where they can go out on a date night. So we're looking for babysitters. We're looking for respite homes, where that family can have a break and know that the foster kids are in a state-approved home that is sanctioned, that is safe. So we're looking for churches to, you mentioned the trash bags, and we have a little thing that we call sweet cases, where that child maybe has their own suitcase or their own backpack that has a blanket in it or a little stuffed animal, something that they can, call their own.
Their own, because that is very hard, when you're removing a child. And, of course, no one likes to do that. Sometimes our caseworkers get labeled as the bad guy, especially, by the children. They feel like they came and, took me from my home that I knew and loved. But people really I don't believe, understand just how difficult a job that has to be. It's difficult seeing any child upset or removed from a home. And when they have to leave basically with just a few things, the foster families really don't have anything. So it's great that you guys have come together. Now, are there specific items that specifically that that you can always use? Is there a certain size diaper or wipes or anything like that our viewers at home, there's a way they can give directly that will really help our foster children here in Lawrence County?
Right now there's a big need for winter clothing for kindergarten age down. We have a lot of, donations for, summer clothing, but now that winter's here, winter jackets, winter clothing for boys and girls, school age down. We need size 4 and size 5 diapers. That seems to be, the most immediate need right now. But one of the big things that Families for Families can do, you mentioned DFACs. I spoke to a caseworker yesterday that had over 30 children on her caseload. Our maximum caseload is 15 kids per caseworker. So we're looking to assist DFACs and help fill in the gap. To let not only the foster families know, but the biological families that had their kids taken, that there is a way to help rebuild your life, and we encourage our foster families to help minister to the biological parents as well. And I think Families for Families is able to use the resources from the churches to help put sources in place so the families don't get burnt out and give up. I think I mentioned last time that 60% of all foster families, they quit within the first year, or they stop, fostering. So that's why we want to get the church involved, get the community involved, to give them the support they need to succeed.
Yes, because it is important to bring out, and I think going through training, and it is important for these families who are interested in fostering to go through this training, because it does equip you with the information, first of all, that you need. Because sometimes, especially if there are abuse situations, you're going to have children who maybe, or drug use, and sadly it is an epidemic. I feel like, my personal opinion, here in Dublin, Lawrence County, it is really ripping our families apart. But when you've had a mother, dad who is on drugs, and then of course you have a child, there are impairments and disabilities that come along with that. So the training also equips them to know how to respond differently, because sometimes these children may respond a little different than what, a lot of foster families already have children of their own, and having that information and knowing what to expect can make them be a little more successful. So tell us a little bit about how long that training, if we've got a viewer who is interested in fostering, and they can contact you, and we'll get your number up on the screen, how long does that process usually take?
Okay. Every family that wants to foster, they need 24 hours of training, and we do that over the course of 2 weekends. We do it Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. Friday from 6 to 10, Sunday 9 to 2, and then Saturday 9 to 2, and then Sunday 2 to 5. And our training dates will be January the 12th through the 14th, and the 19th through the 21st. And that'll give them the state required training that they need. And then we also, every foster family needs 15 CEU hours a year to maintain that training. So every month we offer classes and get-togethers, not just doing a teaching, but it's a way for the families to network and help to build relationships. In fact, our first class that went through the impact training, that's a very tight-knit group, and they're calling each other, they're getting support from each other. So we're really looking to build a whole social network for the foster families that are involved.
And so we may have some viewers who'll say, I really can't foster at this time, but I wouldn't mind providing respite care, or or maybe being there for if a parent wants a date night for a few hours, but they still need to go through this training. That's correct?
To be a respite family, your home has to be approved, the same as any other foster parent. But to be a babysitter, you need to be 18 and older, and then have a background check for that. But through the local church, they already have nurseries, they already have their things set up, so they're already qualified then to, so I would encourage those people to get your church involved, and we can let foster families know, hey, this night, this particular church is doing a date night, and they can not only watch the foster children, but the family's biological children that they have.
Because I know they do encourage the biological family to include the foster children in everything they do. But, even we, as parents with biological children, it is always great to have a date night. And I always encourage even our friends and family, if you have just a couple hours away, I think it kind of makes you a better parent. I think it definitely will make you a better foster parent. It gives you a time just to kind of exhale. So it's great to know that people in our community can help out and really make a difference. Sometimes they think, oh, well, it's just babysitting, but to those foster parents, it's a very big deal. So we're going to talk a little bit more about Families for Families, and some of the ways that they've already made a difference in some of the children here in their lives in Dublin, Lawrence County. We'll be right back.
When you spend 100% of your time helping others, 100 years seems to go by in a flash. Auto Owners Insurance.
Curry Maffett Insurance Agency in Dublin is your local independent auto owners insurance agency.
As you said, it is very tragic to think about the fact that, when we are celebrating such a joyous time, that there are so many children, because sadly, You know, I don't know specifically what the number is today of how many foster children we have. I just know as a general rule, anytime I've asked, it's been about 120 to as high as 150. But sadly, there are those children that we don't even know about. That, you know, that number could be much greater than that. So it kind of is an eye opener, I think, for our community to realize just what great a need there is, how much that really one person can make a huge impact on those children. And not only that, a loving home, would you agree as a licensed professional that a loving home itself can make a huge difference in those children's lives?
I've been on record in the counseling room to tell parents, for every hour you spend loving your child, that's the equivalent of about 10 to 20 family therapy sessions or individual sessions with me trying to work with that child on a particular issue. So when a child knows that they're secure, that they have a place where they're not going to be neglected, not going to be hurt, they can wake up the next day and not wonder where they're going to be staying, that just settles them down, and all the behavioral problems that you typically see go down. When I am in the church, I share from Luke chapter 10, the story of the Good Samaritan, and you have the priest and the Levite, God's people walking by this man that was in need. And I believe their thinking was, what's going to happen to me if I stop and help? Whereas the Samaritan, why we call him the Good Samaritan, is he thought, what's going to happen to this man if I don't stop? And that's the message that we want to send. What's going to happen to these 150 children if you and I don't do anything about it? And my own family, I have 3 biological children, and we are currently fostering a young girl that's 10 years old. So we've opened up our home, and I just had the mindset, if I don't help this little girl, who else is going to do it? Do I want to leave her in the hands of a state agency, or do we want to open up a home where we can love that child like she's our own child?
Right. And not only that, and I've had people to personally ask me, well, or say, I can't foster, I'll get attached. But, you kind of have to come to the realization that, yes, you are going to get attached because we're human, and that's great. You're going to love that child, but you're also going to give that child love that they ordinarily would not have had. And so the goal going in is to love them and love them through that situation, regardless how long it is, whether it's a week, a day, 6 months, 2 years. The goal is you love that child, you've made a difference in their lives. And, as parents, that's got to be one of the greatest rewards for us. So, we kind of want to combat that stigma sometimes that goes along with fostering, that you'll get heartbroken, or, there's always going to be those, horror stories, so to speak. But fostering in general is a great thing, I believe, to do. And I believe that the more that our community sees that, the more we're going to have, that will come out and support it. And as you're already seeing, churches booking up, your calendar staying full, and, that's the people who are really going to make a huge impact. And sometimes we don't realize what an impact we make on these children's lives. Now, I know that you said there's already about 8 children you guys have been able to place. After this next training sessions that you get through, how many more homes, what will be about your total homes that you'll be able to have opened here in Lawrence County?
Well, in the next 2 weeks to 3 weeks, we should have 6 homes open, and then we have 6 families coming through the training. So we're going to have about 12 families, and oftentimes you have sibling groups that are coming in. So we could have anywhere from 20 to 30 kids in care within the next month, 2 month time period. But to just kind of follow up on one of the things you said, about what parents are thinking when it comes to fostering. As Christians, right, we know that Christ, he came to earth, he left his peace so that we could have peace. And I think as a foster parent, right, we give up our peace so that a child could have peace. When we had a foster child in our home, you have to get accustomed to their ways, their moods, what they're happening. So they're adapting to you, but you're adapting to them as well. So You know, just knowing that, you know, you have support in that process, like when extended family, your church family, you know, they see that child, they say, well, she's just a normal child, and if Lewis can foster, I can foster too. So it's been exciting to see the reaction and hearing from the other families that we've approved. You know, it's just, you know, generating a lot of interest.
So would you say that now that you're fostering yourself, does it give you a little different outlook and perspective, or makes it a little more personal for you?
It has, you know, changed our hearts because, you know, I was that priest and that Levite that was too busy. I was busy doing counseling sessions, and I was busy taking care of foster kids. But I had to slow down and say, hey, there's more that we could be doing. What's going to happen to that foster child that needs to go to Savannah because there's no homes open in Lawrence County? What happens to that little foster boy that has to go to North Georgia because there's not an open home here in Lawrence County? So, you know, just the fact that we've already been able to open up 3 homes with 3 more on the horizon and 6 more to come, that's 12 homes that, you know, 2 months ago were not open here in Lawrence County. So, so we're just excited to see what God's able to do.
And you are able to move a little more quickly because you don't have that high caseload. We do have some amazing caseworkers. I will make sure I always say that we do have some amazing caseworkers here in Dublin, Lawrence County who put in countless hours, you know, and they do have children in other counties, you know, Atlanta, Savannah. And that is such a tragedy to me. First of all, because we have so many churches here in Dublin, Lawrence County, and it's sad to me that any child would have to leave Lawrence County to go get the care that they need from another county. So that, you know, help spread the word. That's one thing we want to encourage our viewers to do. Call Lewis, set up for him to come and speak to your women's group or your men's ministry, or you know, he'll be happy to fill your pulpit on Sunday morning too. But just give him a chance to come and sit down and personally speak with you, and let him tell you exactly what it is they're doing and the lives that they're changing, because it is life-changing. It's life-changing experience for these children. You know, again, those children who are up for adoption, heartbreaking that we have a catalog in the state of Georgia with children in it who have no home and nowhere to go. You know, I've heard it said more than once that if just one family from every church in the state of Georgia would just take in one child, there would be no need for fostering.
Yeah, there's 14,000 kids in the foster system, and just with, you know, Protestant churches alone, there's 12,000 Protestant churches in the state of Georgia. So, you know, there would be more than enough to help the foster kids.
Because they are orphans, really. If you want to get down to it, they have nowhere to go. You know, there are foster homes available, and we are commanded to do that, take care of our widows and orphans. So, you know, I think it's great that more churches are getting involved, the more they know. And a lot of times that is just the case. People just aren't aware of what the needs are. So I want, Lewis, I want you to give us that number one more time. We're going to keep it up on the screen for you. If you have any questions whatsoever about Families for Families, about the adoption process, maybe you just volunteer to be a babysitter or provide some respite care, anything you're willing to do. You may just say, hey, I'll pick up a pack of diapers every week when I run by the grocery store, and I'll be happy to donate them. Things like that really make a difference. From a mom who still has one in diapers, let me tell you,
You know.
diapers are priceless. So
Right.
if you have, you know, people who just want to contribute that way, can they just call you and can they run by here, or is there another donation drop off? How exactly does that work?
The Lawrence Baptist Association has the ministry center. They're open 3 days a week. They can drop them by there. They can drop them by the Lawrence Baptist Association office. You know, they can bring them by here to, you know, Liberty Church. So, again, that number is 478-278-7348.
Well, Lewis, it's been so nice talking to you again. Appreciate the work that you guys are doing. And now you do have some help. Let me mention that. She wasn't able to be here with us today, but your wife is actually, you guys are doing this together. Is that right?
That's correct. My wife, Jill, is our, you know, caseworker, and she does the home studies, and she is definitely my my right-hand man, and without her, Families for Families wouldn't be where it's at today.
Well, definitely appreciate her and the work that she does. Appreciate these new families who are opening their home, who are sharing Christ's love to these children who otherwise would not receive that. So appreciate the job that you're doing. It's definitely been a great day in Dublin today. And please, if you've ever considered fostering or adoption or just any way you can get involved, please feel free to call Lewis. We'll leave his number up on the screen. That's about all the time I have for today. Thanks again for joining us.